The Play Absolutely podcast with Dr. Sue Jennings and Dr. Andy Hickson.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Play Absolutely podcast. Hi, Sue. How's it going?
Hi, Andy. Oh, it's good to be back. Back
Good
from
to
the
be
jungle.
back, yeah.
Mhm.
And if people are wondering where we have just been, unbeknownst to our audience, we pre-recorded a couple of episodes because we've just spent the last 3 weeks or so in the Malaysian jungle, revisiting some of our Temiar family there. And it was a fabulous time for both of us. Both got sick though, and strangely enough, both with our legs. So you had an existing condition, which your legs sort of puffed up a little bit, and I got an infection and was on antibiotics. But that didn't stop the experience. It was an amazing time, and great to see our Temiar friends and family again. Yeah, I mean, how did you find the whole trip?
I thought it was all actually fabulous. I mean, what strikes me as interesting is that the Temiar teenagers and some of the adults now have smartphones, which people think's a bit unexpected, but they haven't changed their core beliefs. They haven't suddenly totally gone into modern technology. And I think that's quite extraordinary, that their concepts of sharing everything, of having an obligation to give something if somebody asks you for it, of not being violent to their children, of not being competitive, still stand. And that was the basis, after all, of how NDP first started, was the influence from the tribal people. And it was great to see that that was still the basis of their social living.
Yes, indeed. And I think we've got to sort of bear in mind as well, we visited at a time when there had been a few local deaths as well. So the community that we were staying with were also in a state of mourning and also hosting us. We should say it wasn't just you and I. We took a group of students from around the world to learn about Temiar play and neuro-dramatic play, of course. Which is, I mean, that was the reason we were there. Did you learn anything new about Temiar play, or were you able to sort of reframe or review, if you like, concepts of Temiar play that you've incorporated into neurodramatic play this time?
Well, it was a huge reminder of the importance of playing in the water and near the river. I think we've mentioned before, take Temiar people away from where they know the river is, and they get quite disorientated. Rather like when we don't know the compass anymore, we've lost our compass. People get disorientated when they can't place themselves in space. And as we know for the Temiar, that is water. They are riverine people. I mean, they don't live on the river, but they live by the river. And attempts to try and settle them elsewhere have not been taken kindly because that's not what they used to. They are riverine people. And quite remarkable, and it was a reminder to me, how they use the river as a social meeting place. And quite apart from washing the clothes and washing themselves and going to the loo and any of these other things, people actually meet in the river. Mothers of young children in particular. And the toddlers are playing safely in the shadows. Older children are playing jumping and splashing games. And you remember that tree at the edge of the river where they could climb up and fly through the air into the water. And meanwhile, the women are having a good old goss and catching up on their news. It's interesting when people live in such close proximity, they've still got things to gossip about when they meet up. So everybody was in the river. Sorry?
Yes. No, I was going to say that some people will argue that gossip was one of the sort of the cores of Temia society. It's how you keep things from being hidden from everyday view, like you might in our society where, you know, when you close the door and you shut your curtains, you literally do not know what goes on in somebody's house. Whereas in Temia society, of course, the walls are very thin. Sometimes with the traditional building of the houses, you can see through the slats of the bamboo. You can hear what goes on inside a house. So everybody really knows what everybody else is doing. And if they've missed something, they have a little chat about it. But it's not to be malicious. It's to share. And yeah, I think it helps keep everything above board, so to speak.
Yes, there's no hidden agendas.
Yeah.
And of course, this time was different for us because of the bereavements, 2 people having died in a nearby village. So things were
it wasn't
quieter.
a nearby village. It wasn't a nearby village. It was in the village that we were staying in.
So everything was that little bit muted.
Yeah.
The children didn't play too vigorously and people weren't calling out too loudly. They kept that very low profile.
Yes,
time.
and I think when you look at it in the context, I suppose, of world events, we all are living our lives a little bit more mutedly, for want of a better word. There is a war going on, and it's still going on in the Middle East or in West Asia, in Iran specifically, and the Lebanon and other parts there, Israel and so on. And we took quite a large group with us to the jungle this time. But out of that large group, there were 3 people that at last minute decided not to come on the journey with us. And all 3 cited the war in the Middle East as a fear for them for doing any kind of international travel. I mean, it didn't affect any of our group, even though some did fly via airports in the Middle East. Nobody was affected adversely, not even the flight times. But there has been that general air of concern, of worry, you know, the war going on, and you know how it's affecting all of us. I mean, the fuel prices, for example. I mean, that made the whole trip a lot more expensive because we were doing a lot of internal travel, and yeah, just people just seem to be worried about friends and loved ones that you know were abroad or were indeed in the Middle East as well. So I think that had a sort of a cloud running over us the whole of the time.
Yes, and I seem to remember last time, previous occasions, the students themselves haven't been so motivated to make sure that their mobile phone's connected. They actually were able to go into the jungle without them. But I noticed this time more anxiety about making sure they could keep in touch if there was an emergency and so on.
Yes, well, one of the students, of course, no names mentioned, had some kind of tracker on their phone so that their parents could literally watch on the screen everywhere they went. So they tracked the whole of the movements during the whole of the 3 weeks. Yeah. So I've been promised some of that data actually. So I'll see if I can actually draw a sort of a filmed online map of the journey for some of our viewers if they're interested to see the journey that we took this time. So on that point, on the point of the war, this week's play in the news is linked to that. And rather than how we've done before, where we start the story in the UK, I'm going to start the story from abroad, and more specifically, in the Lebanon. So in the Lebanon, we currently see play being used as psychosocial protection in collective shelters during repeated displacement. Now, this story, it comes from the International Rescue Committee, the IRC, who tell us that Lebanese children are being repeatedly displaced because Israeli airstrikes and Israeli issued evacuation orders are forcing families to flee into overcrowded collective shelters, including repurposed schools. The IRC says that the breaking of the ceasefire by Israel has displaced more than 1.3 million people, including over 350,000 children, with many families now living in crowded classrooms with little privacy and limited basic services. Caregivers report children struggling to sleep and showing rising anxiety, anger and fear, and many children have been displaced multiple times in 2 years. So here we see play is being used as stabilization, restoring routine and a sense of safety inside shelters, alongside educational and recreational kits like books, crayons, jump ropes and Play-Doh and so on. It's a clean reminder that play is not a luxury add-on in crisis. It's one of the fastest ways to reduce distress, rebuild rhythm, and help children be children again when everything else has become chaotic. So we see in Lebanon, play isn't enrichment. It's part of the emergency response that helps children feel safe, connect, and recover routine in shelters. Now, in the UK, we've got ECPAT UK, who organise residential retreats using nature, games, and time to play for recovery. ECPAT UK runs 4-day residential retreats for young people affected by trafficking, explicitly describing them as a chance to rest, play, and reconnect with team building, outdoor challenges, games, singing, music, and campfires. For some trafficked young people, recovery starts with something painfully basic: a safe place to sleep, eat, laugh, and play again. And it should be noted that in the UK, on average, 60,000 young people go missing every week. Now, the vast majority of them are found again within a week or so, but a lot of them disappear for a long time, and particularly those that have been in the care system. Now, how much they're trafficked, we don't know. There are not the figures for that, but that's something we can find out maybe in the future. And that's this week's Play in the News. What do you think of any of those stories, Sue?
Well, it's interesting that almost exclusively we're focusing on play rather than play therapy.
Yes.
That in these war-torn, disrupted societies, we're looking at the benefits of play itself and not feeling the need to call it therapeutic or therapy. It's what actually happens when you engage in a playful interaction. I mean, it may be on your own with clay or Play-Doh or Lego, whatever. It may be with one other, it may be with a little group. But the activation of your brain when you begin to play completely alters your experience and perception of the world. I hope it's not only when there are disaster areas that happens, because I think we could do a lot more with what I call preventative play.
Right.
I'm exploring a way into play which is a little different, which I'm calling proactive play. Because a lot of children have to wait. They have to wait for the court case. They have to wait for an assessment. They have to wait for availability of a play person of some kind. And I think one could be offering proactive play rather than reactive play to help sustain children during that waiting time. I mean, the playing is not going to influence decisions on assessment or courts or whatever, but it's going to allow children to exercise that part of their brain that helps their self-esteem, that helps them find solutions. So I'm very keen to encourage the idea of proactive play because, again, it would follow NDP principles, particularly the rhythmic and the messy and the dramatic play, those three in particular. The rhythmic play, which gives us security, the messy play allowing for exploration or expressing feelings, and the dramatic play, which allows us to find solutions to things. And it wouldn't be expensive to implement, because basic play techniques, every parent, every teacher, every therapist, every community worker actually knows what to do. We don't need to get into this whole field of high specialism where we feel we're not equipped to do things. We are. We've all at some point played as children. We know what playing's about. Some of us even play as grown-ups.
Well, on that point, one thing I particularly noticed on this visit to the Temia jungle was that when the children were engaged in playing, it didn't just rest with the children. A lot of the adults would join in their games as well, the circle games, the clapping games. It wasn't just left to children. The adults had a lot of fun playing as well. And it wasn't like they were asked to join in. They just joined in of their own accord.
Yes, and did you notice how each time we've been out, they've played the old games, but they've always also had a new game to share, one that they've worked out themselves using chanting or clapping or movement. And I noticed this time at least 2 new games involving rubber bands.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because everything comes to them wrapped up in paper with a rubber band around it. So rubber bands have become a very useful play material.
Yeah, absolutely. So have you yourself, either while we were in Malaysia or since you've been back, have you used any particular play activities to either help you during, I won't say anxiety, but your sort of stress with your painful legs in Malaysia, or helping you to readjust back to the UK, after sort of the dreaded jet lag that we all face?
Indeed. Not easy to deal with jet lag because it's not a let's pretend situation, it's real.
No.
And it can just hit you out of the blue. You suddenly find yourself asleep. But really, coming back to the basics of what we can do when we are anxious, when things are unexpected or we just don't feel right. Mindfulness play comes into its own. And all the different ways we can learn about resetting our physical system, practicing mindfulness breathing, having little devices to help us breathe, like blowing bubbles.
Yeah.
To blow bubbles is beautifully playful, but at the same time it involves the right sort of breathing to do it. So somebody ought to supply bubble material, I think, in large tubs that we can use, because you get through it so quickly. So breathing, certainly. Bubble practice, certainly. And remembering, to sit and to rock like I'm doing at the moment, or holding as if I'm holding a toy or a cuddly cushion or something, are all just okay ways of being.
How about the flight? Sorry to interrupt. You had the flight. I can't remember if I saw you with anything to cuddle or play with on the aeroplanes. Did you have anything?
Well, I was doing a lot of observations of families with young children.
There were a lot of babies on board both flights, weren't there?
And really it is time that people took some of their time out before they fly to actually enable children to understand what's involved in flying. I mean, it really is no good thinking giving them a toy is a good idea, but then it's a toy with lots and lots and lots of little parts. So everything gets dropped on the floor. So there's the child and the steward and mum down on their hands and knees trying to get all the bits back again. I mean, 2 minutes of thinking beforehand and you could come up with a lot more sensible solutions. Because I noticed our children as well as other children, okay, there's lots of films for them to watch, there's lots of games for them to watch, but those don't last 10 or 11 hours.
No.
You need something, you need some variety. And I think
one thing that, so we say, you're saying our children, specifically it was my children. We brought my two youngest with us, who spent the whole time with us. Something that you didn't hear that my son was saying on just yesterday. He said, "Dad, I thought you said it took a week to get over jet lag." He said, "It's only been 2 days. I'm already over it. I'm feeling fine now. How come it takes you a week?"
I think it varies person to person.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm feeling much better today. Whereas yesterday, I could hardly stand up.
Oh, really? I mean, the two things I do that seem to work. One is I drink an excessive amount of water, so really get my fluids up. Warm water I drink, not cold water. And I immediately go into the time zone. So, even though we arrived back late and it was early in the day from the country we'd been in, I still went to bed and got up at the right time. So immediately going back into the cycle of the time zone you were in, I find, and drinking a lot of fluids aids a lot of recovery. In terms of playing, I didn't do any playing, if I'm honest, since I've been back. Sounds strange, but we've been too tired. We were saying, like after supper last night, okay, let's play some games, and everybody was like, "Oh, too tired. I just want to go to bed." Yeah. So not even time for playing games last night.
But of course, the thing that's most important to see to is the dehydration.
Yeah.
And again, we're apt to forget that. I mean, you can't rehydrate enough.
No. Okay, well, I think we are still, as much as we might be in denial, we're still a little bit jet lagged. So I think, we've done a nice 25-minute podcast today or thereabouts. So unless you've got anything pressing you'd like to say today, let's save it for the next pod and draw this one to a close. Do you have apart from the bubbles, which you talk so beautifully about, have you got any little activities that our viewers could do if they're feeling a bit anxious at the moment, that might improve how they're feeling, get rid of a few of those blues, so to speak?
Well, I think my closing remarks again revert back to the Temiars again. And I think it's not accidental that they put such emphasis on the water and the river and being playful with water. And it's all very well having a quick shower, but it is quite nice to have a slow bath, isn't it?
Love
and
a
even
slow
to have
bath.
our own set of ducks, why not?
Okay, well, I'm going to stay on water, so to speak. This activity, actually, I'm going to suggest is, I would say, actually, the majority of people might find it more difficult to do, but I'm going to suggest it anyway because it's something that we experience to do with water and to do with the Temiar. Is, of course, they don't have showers or baths in the jungle; they have the river. So whenever you want to have a wash, you go down to the river. And you're literally swimming in the river. And one of the things that is great fun and playful is an activity where if you wear a sarong around your waist, if you jump into the river, your sarong billows up a little bit and you catch enough air, you trap it. It's like you're sitting on a balloon of air. And when you've got, sort of 5, 6, 7 or 8 people doing that, it's great fun because you're sort of bobbing down the river with the current on these balloons of air, your own mini hovercraft, so to speak. It's so simple, but it's such great fun. And any worries, any anxieties that you had before you were engaged in activity, just they're gone. So yeah, I mean, finding a way to play in water, I think, is amazing. Water itself is therapeutic. And if you find an additional game to play in it, whether it's with ducks or with bubbles or other kind of water toys, is brilliant. So well, that's this week's Play Absolutely podcast. Please, if you've enjoyed today's episode and you want to see future episodes, please give us a like and subscribe to the channel. That really helps the algorithm. And for now, until next time, I will say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Don't forget to play. Okay.
Don't forget to play.
Ciao.